Nixon's men weighed in to defend him. Haldeman seemed to confirm Dean's most damaging testimony.
And Dean said probably $1 million. But the problem is that it is hard to raise. The president said there is no problem in raising $1 million.
But he added a phrase that reversed the meaning.
We can do that, but it would be wrong.
I had no prior knowledge of the Watergate break-in.
I neither took part in nor knew about any of the subsequent cover-up activities. My statement has
been challenged by only one of the 35 witnesses who appeared.
Dean was saying one thing, and the White House was saying something contradictory, and Senator Ervin felt like there may never be a way that this was going to be resolved.
There was an answer to the senator's dilemma. John Dean himself had come close without realizing it.
The president almost from the outset began asking me a number of leading questions, which made me think that the conversation was being taped and a record was being made to protect himself.
In fact, all the president's White House meetings were automatically recorded on the secret system Nixon had installed.
It was completely hidden from everyone. Ehrlichman didn't know about it. Dr. Kissinger didn't know about it. Only the president knew, Bob Haldeman and his staff assistant Larry Higbee, and I.
It was Alexander Butterfield's turn to face the committee's investigators. He wasn't sure he could keep the tape secret without committing perjury.
I had rehearsed this in my mind many, many times. If asked a relatively vague or indirect question, the answer to which would be about the tapes, I could easily fuzz it. I could give a vague answer in response. But if I were asked a direct question, I would give a direct answer, and the tapes would be revealed.
The Democrats' investigator had got hold of a document prepared by the president to disprove Dean's testimony.
A memo had come over secretly from the White House to the Republicans. It was a detailed account, line by line, quotes of what Dean had said to the president, what the president had said back.
He flipped this little paper my way and said, "Where might this paper have come from?"
And Butterfield picked up the thing and read it and said, "Oh, this is very detailed, this is very detailed." So, well, where could it come from? He said, "Well, let me think about that a minute," and he set it down.
And to my great relief, they moved on to other things.
While Scott Armstrong was asking Butterfield about other matters through the remainder of his interview, I was trying to decide how I wanted to approach this because I knew my time would come.
After 3 hours, the Republicans' investigator got his turn.
I asked Butterfield if there might be any validity to the suggestion made by John Dean in his testimony that there was a taping system in the White House.
That was a direct question. So I said, I remember saying, I don't know why I said this, I said, "I'm sorry you fellows asked me that question." Well, I was sorry in a way. Yes, there was. And they said, "Could you tell us about it?"
The Democrats' investigator could hardly wait to tell his boss.
And he came up, his face was drenched, his eyes were bulging, and the first words that came out of his mouth is, "The president bugged himself."
But the next morning, Saturday, the euphoria gave way to doubt.
It could just as likely, if there was a taping system, exonerate the president and prove that John Dean was a liar. I wanted to test Dean's credibility.
The chief counsel collected his deputy, and they set off to see Dean.
Sam Dash and Jim Hamilton came out to the house. Mo and I were there, but Sam really got right down to business. And what he told me is he said that, "John, there's a taping system in the White House. How do you feel about that?"
And I can remember that Mo and John, I believe, was sitting on a couch, and I was standing by the fireplace. And I did that on purpose so I could gauge John's reaction. I was watching him very intently, and Sam told him, and I never will forget it, John broke into this huge smile, this beaming smile.
I couldn't have been more elated. I said, "Sam," I said, "everything I've told you, you're now going to find a record for."